come from generations of farmers. When you're a farmer, this is your backyard. This is what you care for.
Most people probably think, well, I bought this farm. I own it. Well, what likely is true is you own the surface.
We did know that we were surface owners. We just couldn't imagine that that would ever be a problem. The first time I heard the compressor station having some sort of blowout, we were terrified.
On the one hand, you have the business interest, and then on the other hand, you have property rights.
It's a lot better for the economy, but why should I have to make the sacrifice?
There is no energy savior. It's a hard business, and you have to make choices about what you want to do.
Companies are just going in and assuming that they have the right.
All I want to do is sue the hell out of them to get something on the books.
I want my farm back. I want my life back. I want my old West Virginia back.
I've lived here on Brush Run since 1977, and we first saw the place in 1974. I thought it was beautiful. You know, I just thought it was so beautiful.
Finding a piece of property with the end of a run, you just knew this was home, this was going to be home.
Here in the hollow, you would never hear anything like a chainsaw or a motorized vehicle. You know, in fact, you could tell if somebody was coming to visit.
My parents were part of the Back to the Land movement. They wanted to move away from the noise, the bustles of life in a big city.
A new beginning. I was able to start to build something with my own hands, under my own will, under my own design. The feeling of accomplishment was just unbelievable. And so it's difficult to explain what it is like to lose that.
I've been reporting on extractive industries and their impact on communities in West Virginia for 28 years. And more recently, been trying to spend more time looking at the impacts on people and workers and communities of the huge growth of the natural gas industry here. Most people probably think, well, I bought this farm. I own it. Well, what likely is true is you own the surface, but you may not own the minerals that are beneath it. And that's the situation for a lot of West Virginians. And what the law says is that if I own the minerals beneath your property, I have the right to do whatever is reasonably necessary to get at my minerals.
I took a lot of that sawdust out and put it on a guard, and here
God, it must have been
pickup loads
the same as dirt at that point.
Yeah,
There's an old well over here.
right up here.
You know, when we first moved here, they explained to us about surface ownership, but they showed us gas wells, which were these, you know, 2 tracks in a field where a vehicle would go to check on them monthly or even less often. And they were really very, very innocuous. But we did know that we were surface owners. And we just couldn't imagine that that would ever be a problem.
In the winter of 2010, Beth was on her way to an art show. Turned around this corner right up here and ran into a survey crew. Survey crew, what are you doing here? And they said, well, didn't you know? Did you get the permits? They were beginning a survey for a well. So that's how we first knew someone was interested in drilling on this place. In 2013, I was working in my shop, and suddenly I hear these chainsaws. So I go down, and here's a crew cutting all the trees on that hillside where the road now is. They didn't come down and knock on the door and say, hey, we're going to be doing this. They just started doing it.
When they started clearing, thinking that this had to be some terrible mistake.
Holy smokes, I mean, what is going on? I mean, by that time, Beth and I had divorced, and I had 81 acres. They've taken a third of my property and clear cutting it.
They worked 24 hours a day. There were huge lights blazing up there on the hill. And then once they started fracking, then there was a whole new hell of noises, explosions. The first time I heard the compressor station having some sort of blowout or popping off, we were terrified.
Right from the start, we told them legally we did not think you can do this, and they said they were going to anyway.
We were told over and over again, but they'll gravel the road when they get done. And we were so offended. It sounded to me like somebody would put a $20 bill on your bedside stand if you were a prostitute,
All I want to do at that point is sue the hell out of them. We had been here, as I said, since '78. All our life was in this, and suddenly it is a threat and a destruction of that, of what we had worked so hard for, fulfilled our dreams, raised our kid here, and to have it suddenly stomped on by an out-of-state corporation was just too much.
Marcellus Shale is a vast geologic formation that stretches from New York down into West Virginia through Appalachia that is shale that contains a lot of natural gas. And southwestern Pennsylvania and Ohio and West Virginia are places where a lot of companies have been very aggressive in trying to drill.
Hey girls! I love you, love.
You're a good girl.
I was born in West Virginia, grew up on a farm here, lived here the majority of my life. I bought this farm in 1982, and it was 104 acres, which satisfied my yearning for privacy.
He says, no way, man.
I see you. I raised my children here and lots of good memories. Around 2010, 2008, 2010, I found out that the minerals were severed. The gas company that's here right now is EQT. But when Stone Energy came in, it was extremely stressful for both Chuck and I. They showed up and they said they were going to put the pad site on the property. We were really not understanding the true implications of what they were actually saying. They said where they were going to place the bridge, they said where they were going to put the road, they said how much ground they were going to use, and basically we had to just accept it. They did pay for the materials, and we put up a safety fence, and we got paid for what they call crop damage. Has it been worth it for us? No. And so we went from having just total privacy, I would say less than 10 vehicles a year, to right now in this particular phase of the development, we're having hundreds of vehicles every day, 24/7, 7 days a week.
People are always looking for an energy savior. There is no energy savior. You know, all energy has negative consequences. It's a hard business. It's something we need, and you have to make choices about what you want to do. The most economic way to drill the Marcellus is to drill multiple wells off a single pad. They drill down and they go up to 2 to 4 miles laterally. It has less disturbance and it has less environmental impact.
Hey guys. Hey.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I mean, what outrages me most about Beth and David's case is this sense of entitlement that the oil and gas companies have. They came here to West Virginia seeking a way of life, a connection to the land, and here comes EQT that says, we can do pretty much what we want on your land, and there's nothing that you can do about it. We really appreciate you guys sticking with this, because we've had cases before where we thought we could set the precedent that we need, and the client took a settlement.
Dave has been involved in surface landowners' rights for years and years and years. So when Dave met Beth and Dave Wentz, he decided that that was the perfect case because it's something that's affecting citizens all over the state.
Yeah, David and I felt like, the lawyers were willing to work with us, and we felt like we had the time, and we felt like we wanted to get precedent for people who wouldn't otherwise do so.
In the past, we had tried attempting to contact lawyers, and they were already on retainer from gas companies. I mean, it was really hard to find anybody that was looking at things from the surface owner's point of view.
The district court judge ruled that EQT had indeed trespassed. The jury awarded us $190,000. And then EQT appealed to the West Virginia Supreme Court.
Yeah, the fear is that if we lose, then that's like giving the power of eminent domain to the gas companies, because they can come in, no matter what you say as the surface owner, no matter what you believe is your rights, they can come in, do what they want to do, and there's not a lot you can do about it.
If you go to the communities where most of this natural gas is being produced, one thing that has to be said for sure is it is providing jobs. And a lot of local people are happy about that.
The gas industry has brought jobs into this town that we've never had before, and people's making money that they've never dreamed of. It doesn't really require too much of an education, and everybody has the chance to actually make it right now.
I think it's been a big boost to the economy. The amount of people in the restaurants, the amount of people shopping, the amount of people working. When they're not here, it's substantially down.
My husband's a heavy equipment operator for the pipeline. He's been down here a couple months. Jobs are few and far between back home in Kentucky. It's made a huge impact on our life. I mean, we were barely getting by week to week there.
Over the last decade, direct employment in the oil and gas industry has risen from around 6,000 to almost 18,000. These are good jobs with an average wage of over 100,000 as compared to the average wage of about 45,000 in West Virginia.
Kind of in a limbo situation right now. People really need to understand what happens when somebody invades your property.
Yes.
It definitely discouraged what I had planned on doing with the income of the farm.
We used to be able to come up here. We haven't been able to access this for over 5 years. And so we effectively have this huge block right here that is just actually like a dam that we can no longer get to the rest of our property. And I find it very frustrating because up here's some of my best hunting. A NIMBY, not in my backyard. I wish it wasn't in my backyard. And I come from generations of farmers. When you're a farmer, this is your backyard. This is what you care for. And I want my farm back. I want my life back. I want my old West Virginia back.
Last year, I spent the year working with ProPublica and a partnership the Gazette-Mail did to highlight issues around the natural gas industry and its growth in West Virginia. For decades, Clearly the most powerful political and economic entity was the coal industry. But in recent years, natural gas has been displacing coal. And as its share of the economy has grown, its political power has grown. It's also gotten itself a very firm base in the legislature. The Speaker of the House has close connections to them. Several other House members are employed in the industry. It has members of the Supreme Court who have different connections to the natural gas industry. I think without a doubt the natural gas industry is politically well placed to pull on the levers that it might want to pull on to get the things that it feels it needs in West Virginia.
I'd say we're cautiously optimistic. We believe the law is clearly on our side. The law of trespass in West Virginia is fairly well settled. The politics are not as certain, and that's what we're concerned about.
The Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court of Appeals, Chief Justice Beth presiding.
Well, good morning.
Thank you, Your Honor, and may it please the court, I represent EQT Production Company in this case. West Virginia law holds the dominant estate is the mineral estate. The surface estate is servient.
Places like West Virginia, to even dare to go to court against a powerful industry like this is a difficult sort of decision, because judges run for election in West Virginia. Judges live in the community, and they are not immune to politics.
Isn't the fact that you can be able to access the mineral rights under 2 parcels of property and only disturb the surface on one, isn't that in and of itself advancing the public interest?
Well, I mean, clearly there's an advantage to having one well pad drain all of it, but that doesn't mean that gives the drillers the right to take all the damage that would have been caused on both pads and many more pads be dumped on my clients without their consent, without them having a fair ability to negotiate what they think that would be worth.
What we learned in the course of discovery in this case was that for this one little well pad in the middle of Doddridge County, the company was going to earn something on the order of several $100 million in revenues.
So really, when you get into the substantial burden, you're talking about the 19 acres to use on property to get to other people's gas.
On the one hand, you have the business interest in maximizing profit, and then on the other hand, you have property rights. And both are fairly strong Republican issues. I think it's something that's going to be tricky for the court.
If you go to some of these communities, and if you go to Wetzel County, West Virginia, it almost appears as if certain parts of it have been totally taken over and annexed by the natural gas industry. You know, West Virginia has often felt like, to people who live here, a natural resource colony.
Actually, I lived with Bobby Ryan. Lived there since I was 3 days old. I'll be 70 years old there pretty soon, my birthday. Yeah, I left Bobby Ryan about 3 years ago because they go put a pipeline through the middle of my house.
I think it's about, I'm thinking 30 yards from my house to the well pad. It's a lot better for the economy and all that, yes. But why should I have to make the sacrifice? Yeah, I miss the peace and quiet more than anything.
When you don't have the mineral rights, you might as well not have the land.
Almost heaven, West Virginia. It wasn't almost heaven for me. I had it. We've had enough. We've had our retirement plans disrupted. We won't be able to build cabins in the woods or pass this farm down to future generations. We've developed health-related issues, stress-related issues, and we're done, and we're ready to move on. We're going to move to North Carolina. We dropped the price of the farm down by some $70,000, and we still don't have it sold.
When big money comes in, there's nothing you can do about it. We're just doing what we can do to try to get on with our lives and try to be happy again.
Hello, Beth.
Hi.
Hi, it's Chris Whitaker and Dave McMahon. How are you?
Hi.
Put on speaker.
We're both here.
Good.
The short answer is we won.
What?
And we won big time. We got a unanimous decision in our favor.
Holy smoke, unanimous.
It isn't April Fool's Day, is it?
Woohoo!
The bottom line is, you guys really made some good law here for the whole state.
That's new law in West Virginia.
Wow. Wow. You know, how do you guys feel?
We're overjoyed, you know, particularly that it was unanimous. I do kind of feel sorry for the people
That have already been drilled on it, that signed surface use agreements, because we don't know whether they can go back and do anything. I mean, I think this is the biggest case for surface owners since the strip mine cases. And my guess is it'll be hailed nationally. It really is a big deal. I mean, we really thank you guys for sticking with this.
West Virginians, Appalachians, people that live up these hills and hollows, it can and has been a hard life for a lot of them. There's this fatalism that sometimes overtakes people. One of the things that's uplifting when you see people like Beth and David is that they understand that, well, maybe it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe West Virginians can find a way to share more equally in all of the riches that are being produced here.